DEA couldn't catch me. I was going way out over the Pacific and coming around them. They didn't know I was getting it in. So I went and bought me a Cessna 207. It was so easy, except if you don't get shot. I got 4 bullet holes, took my toe off my kneecap, and the fuel was just pouring in on me. I can't even breathe. I knew I better not ever go back to Mexico. So that's when I went to Colombia and I met Mr. Pablo Escobar and made $2.5 million a day. So then they came with a dead man, and they had him on an ice hook, and they brought him in and put him on a hook on the cell where I was. You next, son of a bitch, you next. They were there to get a confession out of me.
Everything you just watched, every bit of it's true, and that was the calm part of his life. I've spent some time on the other side of the law, undercover, sitting across from people the world had already written off, and I have never, ever sat across from anyone like Roger Reaves. Dirt poor Georgia farm boy, alcoholic father, and when the family farm was about to go under, he did the only thing he could think of to save it. He started running moonshine. That one decision pulled him into a life most people wouldn't survive a single chapter of. Shot down out of the sky over Mexico, tortured in a foreign prison, face-to-face doing business with Pablo Escobar, 33 years locked up across 3 countries. But here's what got me, and I think it's going to get you too. Through all of it, the money, the bullets, he spent the last 19 years where he and his wife could only press their hands to opposite sides of the glass. Yet she never left. So if you think you already know how a story like this ends, stay with me, because Roger doesn't tell it the way anyone expects. Roger, thanks for trusting me with this. Let's get into it. Honest man's work, I realized becoming an author wasn't going to make me rich either, because I'd already been through the musician thing. Yeah. So that's just, you usually don't get into that stuff to get rich.
It may make me rich. I mean, I don't in my lifetime. Apple had it for 2 years, and then they turned down what the writers did. Now, this afternoon, I'm meeting with Nicky Weinstock. He did a Severance.
Okay.
Ooh, I've never heard of it, but it did more views than most anything.
Yep.
And he likes it, but I'm not going, okay, I'm going to hear what they have to say, and certainly if they did. So I signed a contract for 1 year with Barry Pepper. He was an actor that was the sniper in Saving Private Ryan. He's a Christian fellow up in Canada.
Yeah.
And he's a lot of movies. He was kind of not
so
big.
You have him attached to your story?
No, he's attached to me.
As an actor?
Oh, well, as to get it made.
Okay.
So he's hooked up with the people that make the House of David, and they're a Canadian outfit, pretty big, and they made one series, and that man's going to meet me on the 12th of next month in British Columbia. We're going to stay at Barry's house and go salmon fishing. So I think that's the people I want to go with.
Yeah, and I appreciate that you're thinking like that, because when what brought me to even LA was getting courted over my book too, right before COVID hit and everything, and my greatest negotiation tool was, if this never gets made into a movie, my life is perfectly fine.
Absolutely.
So if you really want to make this a movie, one, it has to tell the story properly. Exactly. And it has to be the right people that are actually showing up on time, creating deadlines they actually meet, and, business people.
Yes.
And you get a lot of these creatives out here that say, hey, we love the story. We want to give you some money, hang on to it for 4 years. And then
that's what
at 3.5 years, they're like, what are we going to do with this? And you're like, dude, you've had 3.5 years to work on this.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing with me. They said the writers didn't. So anyway, these people, I don't want them to take the Lord's name in vain. If you look at all that stuff with Taylor Sheridan, it's the GD every other second. And my wife just cringes. I don't like it, but and then lesbianism.
Yeah.
I said, I don't want a purple lesbian playing me now, y'all. we can skip all that.
Hey, what if they look just like you? I mean,
I'm telling you. So anyhow, that's sort of about my only thing that I
that's care. Important. I mean, like I said, you have your hard lines, and you've got a guy that's shopping it for you that understands those are the.
Yeah. And he's a Christian fellow, so he's certainly so. And the people that do in the House of David also. That you don't hear them cussing or nothing in there.
Yeah. So how do you deal with making it realistic as well as, because I kind of struggled with this too. When you're writing your story, if you were the guy that didn't normally cuss up a storm, but you're also telling a true story, what are your thoughts on how you present that?
Well, I have 43 chapters in my book there.
Mm-hmm.
And each one of them could definitely be a be an hour long.
Right.
So, and since I'm not a gifted writer, some of these people are just absolutely just got a brain for take that and just put it out for a screen.
Right.
And they're gifted at it. And
so, but in terms of the language, and so you wanted
they can do about what they want to. I just let the Lord's name in vain. That's just don't be cursing throughout it. I mean, I don't at all.
Right.
I don't curse.
Right. So, but your character, that would be a line drawn. But if you're talking about some of the cats that you dealt with and you're trying to paint a realistic picture, do you have any lines drawn there?
Leave that. Just leave the taking the Lord's name in vain out.
Okay. But the rest of the cursing is more realistic, but just
all the words that you won't do. Oh, fuck, you won't do and this and the other. I don't care what they do. But just some of these things that are against I just don't do it.
Yeah.
And
that's appreciable.
And also I'm just tired of men kissing in my living room. I start watching, what was it, that one, Ozarks, and the FBI guy, and he kissing the truck driver, and I just turn that thing off. Get it out of my living room. If they can't do that movie without that, I don't need to watch it.
How realistic was that? Did you watch the rest of it?
No, I just watched it. It was completely unrealistic.
Yeah.
How much they give them? $50 million, and you got to spend this in the next 6 months, and you got to invest it. Well, get out of here.
Yeah.
It's just the whole thing.
That's Hollywood. So,
absolutely.
Man, that's the danger, I guess, in getting your work done, is that in Hollywood, they're going to kind of do with it what they want to do with it. And at some point, you lose control. As soon as you sign your name, you lose that control. So having somebody
it's going to be up
representing you.
It's going to be up to the writers how they do it. And I tell a joke about the preacher that liked boxing. So he took one of the men from the congregation to the boxing match. And the boxers came out and danced around the robes, and one got down on his knees over in the corner. And he said, "Preacher, what does that mean?" He said, "Nothing if he can't box." So all this stuff like going on and doing it don't mean nothing if they can't write.
That's exactly right. And, I know it's got to be unnerving to think about somebody taking over your story. At some point, you sign the dotted line and you have to trust the guy that got this show sold. And then you have a showrunner and a production company that are actually leading it. And you're just like, I hope this works. Because from there, you don't have it anymore.
Yes, I'm all right with it. It's been, I wrote this thing, 25 years ago when I was in solitary confinement.
Yeah.
And I got it out to Mari, and she put it up there's not one T uncrossed or appeared that I didn't do in that prison cell. It's completely, it's raw.
Yeah. I love it. And I've gone through the vast majority of it, and even some of there's a few pictures, so guys like me, struggle through a book with fewer pictures, and I'm being facetious, of course, but it also gives me a little perspective on some of the planes, the photos of the planes and stuff that you had is fascinating. I'm telling you up front, I've got you some Blackland whiskey. This is,
my goodness gracious.
This is going to surprise you, actually.
Thank you.
So this is from Fort Worth, Texas.
Oh, thank you.
And that thing is made specifically from Texas grasses. You're welcome to open it whenever you want. I got glasses, brother.
What glasses? We don't use glasses.
And then I brought one from Mari too, which is this one is that's the whiskey that I think you'll truly appreciate. Now, if she sips whiskey, she will appreciate that too. Okay. But this one is their most popular one. It's called a Texas Pecan, and it's like it's a flavored whiskey, but it's like magnificent.
Yeah.
No need if you like mixed drinks at all. No need to mix this with anything. It's just straight up.
All right. We appreciate that too.
Yeah. So drink responsibly, and just a little tip of the cap from Texas for you.
I appreciate it.
Man.
Yes,
yeah. No.
All right. Good.
So speaking of this, what's the best honey you ever made? How did you when you were moonshining? How did you actually concoct all that stuff, and what got you into that as an early age?
Okay, I was young. I think I was 21. I got married and took Mari to the farm. She come from Holland. Met her up in Canada, where I was a transit farm worker picking tobacco in the summertime, wrestling the bear in a carnival.
That story, I want to hear it.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
And so we went back up there and we got married, and I brought her to the farm, and that was something else. I mean, bring a lady like that to a place like that.
Tobacco farm.
Yeah, tobacco farm, chickens, shit, and snakes and flies and bugs.
But if she still likes you after that.
She still loved me, yeah. So I taught my mother. My dad had died a few years before, and I taught my mother into mortgaging the farm, and we put in 36,000 laying chickens. And Purina promoted it so they could sell feed. So when there was 20 million chickens within 20 miles of my house, the price of the eggs went down. I think it was 17 cents a dozen. And it cost us 21, 22 cents for the feed.
Not profitable.
Pretty soon I'm in debt $78,000.
And this is money back then that you borrowed too, right?
Just
This is from a bank.
We owed a lot of money for the chicken houses and all that equipment, but now the feed bill is astronomical. They got trucks coming out there, semis every day dumping their feed and taking those eggs away. And it looked like I'd ship a semi truckload to New York, and every one of them would be cracked or second grade. It's like, y'all ain't playing fair.
Yeah.
And the long chain man about to take my truck away and everything. So I said, I got to save the farm. So I started making moonshine whiskey. To
save the farm. This is after your dad passed.
Yeah, every year. So Mari, I told her, I said, and she just cried. That's part of her. She said, don't do it. And I said, Mari, we'll lose the farm my great-granddaddy bought from the Indians here. We got to do it. There's no other way I can see. And she just cried. The tears dropped on the little baby's dress, and she ironed them dry. But she saw it, and she thought, well, across the river in Florida, it's legal. And here in Georgia, you get 5 or 10 years for it.
Right.
So I started making it, and I had 4 vats as big as this room here. They had 18,000 gallons each.
How'd you learn how to make it?
Oh, I had an old moonshiner help me. Couple of color.
You got the mentor.
Yeah, and so it wasn't no big trouble. It ain't nothing to it. And so after a while, Murray's bringing fried chicken down there to us, and she just loves those two colored men, and we watching. That thing went on 11 months, and I about paid the place off. And then one morning, they put one of them. We had 200 big butane bottles. They're 220 pounds a piece. You tear them up, and you have to keep them around the flame because they ice up. And one of them bumped over, and bam! It was like a war went on down there. It went into them other bottles. And I was having breakfast. I thought the revenue had blew it up. So I went back down. And I was working, and then here come the sheriff and the federal revenue neighbor. He called in. He knew what it was, but he called in anyway. So
are they the ones that wrecked it?
Wow. It was a foggy morning. You could see the glow, look like a bomb had dropped you way up in the sky.
Yeah.
It shook the world around there.
And what caused it?
Oh, that one gas bottle bumped over.
Oh, just by happenstance. It wasn't the law.
No, he put it too close to the fire. They ice up. There'd be that much ice on those gas bottles. You have a manifold to keep changing them.
Yeah.
And so as one melts down, you have to take it and put it around. So you're all day long changing bottles to feed that fire.
Right.
And so it knocked it off. And so then here they came, and they run it, chasing after me. And I'm running, and Marty's looking out the window, and Wayman LaFavor, the deputy sheriff, he's shooting. He's got a square hat, and she says it falls off, and he stops to get his hat, and then he falls down.
Thank goodness.
And I'm getting way ahead of him.
You got Barney Fife after you.
I got a bullet across the neck there. And so it was cold. It was February. There was ice on the edge of that creek. I said, I got in Alligator Creek. I must have swam 2 miles. I almost had hypothermia before I got out on the other side. I knew the dogs was coming.
And so how law enforcement has changed over the years, but that's a wacky story from the day when you're running from guys who are trying to arrest you for moonshine and they're firing off rounds at you. That's insane.
One of them got hit, and I mean, there was 8 of them, bullets popping off the trees every which way, knocking the bark off. I don't know if they're trying to kill me, but it looked like bees coming by.
Likely.
I think they were. They trying to shoot.
They had to have been.
Of course it was. And so I just said, I think we should be careful who we give a gun to.
Yes.
For sure.
Well, in law enforcement or otherwise.
Oh, anywhere.
Yeah.
I know a fellow, my wife visited him, and he's a policeman here in L.A., and he takes a shower when he goes to the bathroom with his undershorts on. He wears his gun. So them folks ought not to be on the force.
I know
They
guys
waiting
like
to
that.
shoot somebody. You know somebody like that?
Yeah, I do. I know plenty of guys like, and I'm from Texas too. So there's a bunch of them out there mowing the yards. It's like, hey, don't underestimate them. They can't hear you coming, but they're still packing in their pair of shorts or whatever they're out there doing there. It's a little wild, a little over the top, but it's crazy to think. What year was this, in the 60s?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's still before law enforcement really had received a lot of criticism about how they were policing at the time. That's a little wild.
Anyway, I got away and came on, and the grand jury didn't indict me. 12 men voted for indicting and 12 against it. I was out there shaking hands with them, telling them who I was and who my grandpa was. And that lawyer come around and said, "Get out of here, boy. You're going to get more trouble.
Witness tampering.
You could ever get with that liquor still."
That's true.
Get out down the road.
That's true.
Yeah.
Are you politicking early?
Absolutely. I didn't know better.
So so Mari was already against this idea, but
yes, but not so bad, because in Holland, where she come from, liquor's everywhere. And her folks had a little sherry or something to drink, but
right.
And her father said, just cover the ice, and he put his hand around the other side of the glass. They're real sweet. And so she saw nothing about alcohol. And there were big billboards, moonshine kills, and it showed people wrapped up like mummies. I'll tell you about a mummy story a little later. But it was bad against the law. They're giving people 5 and 10 years for that.
Right.
So I was glad to get out of it, and I came out to California and went to work.
So did you pay off the farm with that money, or did that completely disrupt that?
My mother, they took her to court, and her lawyer got up and made her. She's a poor widow woman that they've done this and what they've done to it. She said whenever it was over, I went back and opened my cabinets to see if I had anything to eat. He made her feel so poor. Yeah, the judge threw it out.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
So is the farm still in the family?
Yeah.
Oh, great. So then you moved to Cali, but also by then you'd met Mari. I mean,
we've been married. We had a child by now. Got a little girl.
Okay. So when 2 years before you got married, I guess, did it take you 2 years to get married?
No, about 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
I met her, and I went back the next summer, and there she was. And 3 days later, we told her parents we're getting married.
So I have one interesting, after reading the books, you guys met. First of all, you're gimping around because of this bear story, which I'd love for you to tell. And you're gimping around, and you still managed to win her over, at least for that time being. And then you took off and worked, and you guys were essentially pen pals for a little bit, right?
A little nicer story. Whenever I was gimping around and I tipped my hat, and she asked me about the ring, and I said, "You're from Holland, aren't you?" She said, "How do you know I'm from Holland? Sit down here and tell me how you know about Dutch accents." And I said, "Well, international accents is just one of my hobbies." I knew one person in the world that had that.
You sound just like my buddy.
So we talked all afternoon, and time stood still. Just talking to her. I mean, it just stopped. And I guess 3 or 4 hours, her father come, and we're sitting on the towels on sand, and Mari, we have to go. So she got a pencil and paper and wrote her address, and I put it in my shirt pocket and I lost it.
Oh.
And so my mother asked me, she making biscuit in the morning, said, "You got any girlfriend, Roger?" I said, "No, but I met a girl in Canada. If I ever get married, I'd like to marry a girl like that." She said, "What happened to her?" I was like an idiot. I lost her address. So I got a job with Atlantic Coast Line Railroad, driving trains. Fireman on an electric train. That's the best job in the world.
You were already a fireman by then?
No, the co-pilot on a train is called a fireman.
Oh. They
used to shovel coal. And those old guys had knots on their legs that big, and they were jealous of us just sitting up in a leather chair.
Right.
They made it by shoveling coal, but we still call firemen. And after 3 years, you become an engineer, and you can drive the train. So anyway, that is a real good job with the union. You made as much money as an engineer been working 40 years.
Wow.
So it was just unbelievable. Anyway, I was driving to work one night. I had a 1958 Impala Chevrolet. That thing was pretty. Glass packs and a 4-under-floor.
Ooh, I love it.
And
back
had
when
a flat
everything
tire.
had a stick.
It was raining a little bit, and I had a flashlight. It just had enough a little yellow beam. My voice is back gone. So I got out to take the tire, and I took it out of that wheel well and rolled it up in the dark and shone that little light. And there was almost rusted into was the address of the beautiful girl from Canada.
Are you kidding me? There in the wheel well?
In the wheel well.
That's
that
wild.
car. I know
Or
why.
Serendipitous, maybe, but
I got a lot of shirts. I just graduated from high school, and I got a lot of shirts. I believe everybody in the world sent me a shirt. And I think I put that address in the shirt pocket, and I just put them in the trunk of that nice car, and my mother would wash them. So it fell out of that and got behind there is what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I wrote her a letter and with a pencil. I went right into YMCA. That's where we were staying in Waycross, Georgia, and I wrote her something. The lines are not very straight, and the spelling might not be the best, but I wrote her something. And a few days later, I got a letter with beautiful stationery. It looked like it had been engraved.
That's how you write a letter.
My face turned bright red. I went and got me some stationery and a pen, and we started writing. So then she says, I wanted to go to Alaska, and there'd been a big earthquake up there, and I heard the big money it was making. So I'll go up and go to work in construction. So I wrote her and told her, she said, well, I'll be at that same place. Stop by to see me.
Mm-hmm.
So I stopped by to see her, and 3 days later, we told her parents we was getting married.
So how long was that pen pal part?
Okay, about 6 months, because I didn't know her for 6 months. We was just a skip. She
right.
said,
Yeah. So that's what makes it curious to me, because, people meet now in all kinds of ways. I couldn't even fathom, having to meet people online and doing all this stuff. And there's less of a connection between people every day, but you're coming from an old school time where everything was done in person. But even a step beyond, I wonder if you feel like that writing also gave you a glimpse into, carefully thought out and pencil to paper courtship.
No,
did that
not
contribute
at all.
At all to?
I just thought how beautiful she could write. I better improve a little bit. And no thought of it. The song was a green, the screener said, on the far side of the hill. That song. And she had no thought of getting married. And so when our hands touched, absolute sparks flew.
Yeah.
Something happened.
Yeah.
And
it was for a good purpose.
Yes, that was it. So, and her father, she just turned 19 2 or 3 days before, but her father had a firm hand. She had to be home in the house by 10 o'clock at night, and it wasn't night in Canada.
Right.
So that's what strength she lived. So he says, you don't know anything about him, said, but I would, I want you to go live with his mother for 1 month in Georgia. And if after that you feel the same way, I will give you my blessings. So we got in the car. Boy, I thought, this is a honeymoon.
We'll be there yesterday. Yeah.
Stayed there about, 2 or 3 weeks with him. And then we got there, and we got down to Pennsylvania and stopped at a nice little hotel. And I went in, we want a room? And she says, 2 rooms. We're just engaged. It tells the whole story.
I love it.
That's how it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so knowing that about her too, and, look, even with you, you have your druthers, you have your standards, but she seemed to have even more of a strict thing, when you're talking about moonshining and stuff, she had to kind of justify it in her mind.
Yes.
And so by the time you start running loads from places, which kind of was a happenstance, I would love to know the story of getting into it, and then how you presented to her what it was and how you managed to get her to justify it or go along with it. Because, you
she
guys
never
are obviously
did.
Tight. But she never drew a line either.
She didn't. No, absolutely. And she'd pack the sandwiches for me.
Right.
So it was, all right. I came out and I worked construction for a while here in Redondo Beach. And then I got on the fire department. And it was like winning the lottery, man. You get on the fire department, you only work 9 days a month.
Yeah.
And it's good pay.
Great gig.
And all, yeah. So anyway, we was members of the First Baptist Church in Redondo Beach, and beautiful church family, wonderful pastor. It was just paradise. And I mean, when I got on the back of a motorcycle, she came out after I did and went, and then we come over that little hill, and she saw those sailboats on that blue Pacific. And she said, I never want to leave this place.
Stay in there.
Nice and cool instead of Georgia heat. So I started buying antiques on my days off, and I was one of the first pickers. And the fellow told me about the antiques in Missouri, and it was a treasure chest there. The settlers had come on the train from all over the eastern United States, and when they crossed the river on the barge, they got this side in their Studebaker-covered wagons wouldn't hold the furniture. They left millions of pieces there. Big stuff, pianos, piccolos, all sideboards, the things that just wouldn't go.
No, they just had to pitch it.
And they just had to choose the little stuff that they could carry in those wagons. They weren't very big. And it was Studebaker that made the wagons, and later on they made the cars. And so I would go back there, and I had other firemen that were buying it for me, and I would go back there with a truck and bring it back. And on my days off, I'd get 4 days off, and I'd fly back there and drive that truck back. And I'm making good money. I bought a house, had a new car, had an airplane. I bought several airplanes, and so I was in high cotton down there in Redondo Beach.
And you were having the life, because that's the beautiful thing about firemen's jobs too. Yeah. You've had that second income. Yeah, so now you're
way more than that first one out of the antiques.
Right.
So I'm reading a National Geographic magazine, and Mercury's 13 times more expensive in the United States than it is in Mexico. I said, I want to take my airplane down there and get a few gallons of that stuff. Man, that'll bust a hole in your airplane. You ought to bring some of the marijuana. I said, I don't know about it. I heard the kids, hippies smoking it. He said, it's the hottest thing since popcorn, I'm telling you. And
Who was talking you into it?
He was just talking. He was
an American or?
Yeah, he's American. He and I were doing this antique stuff together.
Okay.
It was too heavy for me to load that stuff.
Okay.
So we teamed. He knew more about antiques than I did. Mike Love. So, and I just asked him about it. He said, man, you just can't believe it. So I said, well, how much to pay? He said, I don't know. I'll ask somebody. So I asked him, really nice guy. And he was paralyzed, and he spoke beautiful. He'd been a race car driver. And he said, you got an airplane? I said, I might. What be? He said, let me call somebody. So he called a fella and said, I'll give you $10,000. I said, when you want me to go? My next 4 days off. So I went down there. They threw some in, and I came back, and they gave me $10,000 in a paper bag. That was a lot of money. 2 years' pay.
Yep.
I shook it on the bed. Mari put her hand over him. I was like, oh, my goodness. Baby grabbed some $100 bills and walking around with them. And I thought, I don't know about this. This is, how dangerous is this? So I took $100 and I went to see a lawyer. And I said, it's criminal defense. 1 question, 2 minutes, Mr. Lawyer. What would happen if I got caught bringing pot back from Mexico? He said, what's your criminal history? I said, I don't know one. I don't have one. He said, traffic? I said, I never had a speeding ticket, parking ticket, nothing. Never, nothing. He said, you get probation. Almost certainly you get probation. But the worst, if you got the worst judge in the world, you get a year, and you spend 4 months raking leaves on some military base. And I went and asked another lawyer, he told me the same thing. And I said, I have found my profession. So I went and bought me a Cessna 207. Now that's a station wagon of an airplane.
Yeah, it's the little dual prop.
No, it's one prop, same, just a regular single engine prop.
Okay.
The biggest one they made then. So I can make $40,000 a day now. And my wife was upset about it. Like, it's against the law. Well, the people that we met when we went to Mazatlan, and they smoked pot, and they were a jolly group of people. They were nothing wrong. They were nice people, just nice people. And we had the church people. So now then we don't want to feel like a hypocrite, so we quit going to church. But now then, there's some of those people, there was a criminal element in them running through there, and we didn't particularly fit with those people either.
Right.
So we was kind of caught and missed in between there.
So how was she?
She didn't like it, but I would tell her the stories of, I would land in there of a poor, almost starving village, and donkeys starving, and those women wanted things. And I told her about the little children and how they had never seen some of the stuff. So she started packing apples and boxes of candies and stuff. And the women would give me a list of what they wanted. And she would shop for it. And I had the airplane loaded going down. So it got more and more children and people waiting at that little tiny airstrip. I couldn't hardly land.
While you were doing your pickups.
And I'd spend the night there, and the next morning, the young fella would get in the plane with me, and we'd go off on the highway. And he'd show me, and trucks would pull out, and another truck down the road, and guys on them, and traffic all stopped both ways, and I'd land between them. Another truck would come, put in 1,000 pounds of marijuana. I'd shake hands all around. Then I'd take off. It'd be a line of cars. One time, there was a highway patrolman there, but his light wasn't on. It was just...
covering for you?
Pardon?
Covering for you?
No, he just
didn't miss
gonna
it.
get out with those guys with them machine guns.
Like, forget about it.
I'm traffic.
Yeah.
There's a version of this that doesn't make it here. The part I only send to the mailing list community, early, before it goes anywhere else. Free. Links in the description for those who want to be on the inside.
So on day 13, I had that little tick in my stomach, and I'm telling this hair-lip weasel that was running this thing, he tried to take all the stuff away from the children. He was just like, he was a nasty little fella. I was paying him $17,000, and he didn't want those children to have an apple. I mean, I just like, and so he said he had the federales paid off. I was worried about it. I'd go down every day, and so Pedro got in, small little man, so it's light. It only had like a 900-foot strip of sand right in the bend of a river. And just up that was a waterfall. And I cranked that thing up and going to taxi back down to the other end. Pow! I thought a tire blew out. That's how innocent I was. Pedro's hitting me. Policia, Roger, policia. And it dawned on me, and I just pushed that throttle cold engine to the firewall and took off, tearing down that sand. I didn't have enough room to take off. And so right at the end of it, I just pulled it up, hanging on the stall, and 4 of them empty machine guns or AK-47. There was 80 bullet holes in there with me. I got 4 bullet holes. I took my toe off, my kneecap. One piece of a bullet lodged in my foot, and the top of my head, you can see where it come across. And it wiped all the windows out of that plane, and it hit up in the wing on the other side and ruptured the fuel tank, and the fuel just pouring in on me. I can't even breathe from gasoline. And the rudder is just floppy. I thought they shot the cable into. Now I know hanging on a stall, you don't have any rudder control.
No control at all.
Rudder control, but no elevator control. So it would have flown out of there. But I went into shock with the bullets and the stuff and the gasoline on me, and the world turned yellow. I think it got in slow motion. All the time in the world, I just reached over and turned all the electrics off. I thought that gasoline was going to explode.
Yep.
Then I turned everything else off, and I plunged towards the river. It wasn't deep, but that deep. And it was just turning daylight, and the rocks in the river looked like the backs of turtles. And I just can remember that just imprinted on my brain exactly what it looked like.
Because it was moving so slow.
Yeah. And the plane hit and the wings came off, and it bounced one time, bounced high, sprung up there, had big, and when it hit again, the from the firewall forward came in under the plane, and I'm sitting up there kind of knocked out or kooky, and Pedro saying, come on, Roger, and he's done jumped off in the water. Well, I just stepped off in the water, and I kept a 9mm tape to the top of one of those radios up under there. Now that thing's just laying up there like, hi. I have to look for it.
Wide open.
Right here in a holster. And 2 of those federales is coming down the runway, and they still shooting at us.
On
and
foot?
2 of they're still shooting at us. 2 of them hit the plane while I'm right in front of us. I kind of had it between us. So I took that thing. It has 13 shots, and I went pop, 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 pop.
Unload it back?
I ain't want to shoot nobody, particularly policemen,
Yeah.
So anyway, they ran into rocks. And I say, when the rabbit get the gun, the farmer he run.
That is the saying, and that's the reason why too, right?
So we took off up thing, and I didn't notice it, but I looked, and Pedro's foot nearly shot off. It had gone through his heel here and came out the other side and just blown all that right out.
So he's not
And
running.
it wasn't, yeah, he was. It wasn't bleeding a drop. It wasn't going into shock.
Oh, wow.
Like when people get their leg cut off on the railroad or something, it don't bleed sometimes. You can't put a tourniquet on it.
Wow.
So let it be. So anyway, we got on up there, and there was an old donkey. Looked like she was 30 years old, sway back. Charlotte, Charlotte. And he petted her a little bit. We got on her back and boogied. And that story could go on. It's a whole chapter in the book about getting shot down there.
And this was the Colombian?
No, in Mexico.
That's the Mexican one.
Hauling cheap $60 a pound pot.
Right. And, okay, so, and that was during, how long did it take you to get back in that one after that being shot down? Obviously, you escaped by the skin of your teeth and come back to Mari. And then, how do you explain yourself?
Well, I got a taxi to take me to Guadalajara, and I got on an airplane. And I was in bad shape when I got off the airplane. Mm-hmm. I had to go to the hospital right then. Mm-hmm. So we couldn't get anybody. So we took it to Wilmington. I had painted a hospital for a doctor there, and I knew him. So he was a Chinese guy. They put me in there without saying anything, took care of me. And while I was there, I said, Mari, get us some tickets. Let's go to Hawaii. So from the bed in the hospital, we went to Hawaii. I guess one of the first vacations we ever took in our life. I work. So a lot of my work is fun. You go places, but just to take a vacation.
Yeah.
So we went over there, and I had the crutches, and I had my foot up, and the children poured water over me, and they hooked puka shells and brought me pina coladas, and we spent a month over there. What a lovely time.
How many kids did you have by then?
2.
2 of them.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we did. I'm trying to think what year it was, what year they were born. Yes.
So obviously a vacation is needed after that. For you, that's a great respite, but you are not deterred.
Not a bit.
But is she not even more deterred now? Why is she still not saying, okay, that's it?
I don't know. I really don't know. I was going to make $300,000 and go back to farming. I made it so quick that it was just like, bam. And she definitely put her foot down. I'm not going back to that farm. And rattlesnakes and bugs and flies and heat and all this water.
Okay, so at one point you had a figure in your mind that would have kind of solidified that part of the career.
That's what I was going to do. No, so I just kept on. It was so easy, except if you don't get shot.
Yes, but then when you're getting shot, you're still saying more.
Yeah, that's right. Keep on going. So anyhow, I bought another airplane and got a call, and I could load up, and I had a cast all the way up to my knee, and I think I'll make that $40,000 on. So I took a handsaw and cut that saw off so I could hit the brake.
Fly.
And so I came back, and the old doctor, he cussed a blue streak. He put it back on. About 2 or 3 weeks later, I had a call, and I cut it off again. He wouldn't put it on.
So is it a mess now, or is it okay?
No, it wasn't very much anyway.
It was fine.
Bone broke in the foot from it.
Well, you aren't making the doc very happy. See, you're defying every part of the universe that says, "Hey, here's a hint."
Don't do it.
You're moving on. I wonder how much of that comes from your growing up on a farm and hard labor and learning, having a hard work ethic and working through things that normally would deter somebody lazy or doesn't have that kind of a work ethic. They might be deterred by that much adversity, but you seem to just keep driving forward.
I got a brother born on the same birthday as I am 6 years later. He never rode the horse or the mule. He never got his feet in the chicken shit, but he didn't want it. He wanted to study his lessons. He's a PhD now.
Yeah.
But he just didn't have that. He didn't care about catching a wild hog or going to the swamp shooting something.
Right. So, but you had that country boy, learning the outdoors.
Tom Sawyer, let's go for it.
Yeah.
My book, Huckleberry Finn.
So do you think a lot of that contributed to your tenacity and just moving forward, even though you had these incidents?
It probably did. And being poor. My father was an alcoholic, and we were really poor, too poor to, and I started at 14 years old working in the grocery store, $3 a day to pay the lunch money. And I did that until I was 19 years old. Mm-hmm. So then I got a job in the logging woods. And that was something. I come home without much clothes on some day where I was hooking logs behind a caterpillar.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Hard work.
Oh, yeah.
Hard work. And so that maybe is a contributing factor too.
Well,
As to
I'm not afraid of work, and my
continue.
mother would brag on me. I could hoe cotton, and we chopped cotton, and I guess I would have been a good golfer because I can get that cotton. I mean, just as fast as that hoe would go up and down, I can nearly skin a cotton shock. And she said I was the best little hoer in the county.
That's a compliment, I think. Thanks, Mom.
I don't know, Mom.
Thanks, Mom.
I was in the field from the time I was 5 or 6 years old, a little hoe, and there'd be 20 women hoeing cotton. And she'd say, Roger, I'd at least got a lot of sandspurs on her row. Help her along. And boy, I'd help her, and I'd just help them catch up because my mother would tell stories all day long. And she'd tell them a little bit off color. I'm not supposed to know what's going on.
Yeah. Positive motivation, though.
Oh, it was.
So as you started making this money, I'm kind of curious if you ever had a different number. Did you ever say, all right, I thought 300 grand would do it. We'll come back, take care of the farm. And Myra was like, I'm not living on the farm. And you at that point have been married, you got kids. So you're like, okay, that's not a deal. Did you ever set another number? Would there have been any other number that would have made you say, all right, this is the time that we quit?
Okay, I was extremely immature, and I trusted people. So I started making money, and I hooked up with a fancy fellow that planning and zoning cities and stuff. So I bought the land that is now Moreno Valley. Now I have to work like the dickens to place 17 designers and stuff to work. So we're going to make billions. You've
indebted yourself, yeah.
And so I worked that, and of course I'm never going to get a penny of that back.
Right.
Just what was I thinking?
Well,
so then I made enough money, and so I heard about there was a grain problem. The United States sold grain to the Russians, I reckon it was, and it was in dirty ships. And when it got down to the bottom, the ships, the corn or wheat was condemned, and a lot of it. I heard $7 billion that they had to pay. Anyway, they just stopped the shipping on the Mississippi River, and I guess nearly all the United States ships down that river in barges. And there was thousands and thousands of barges tied up in ships as far as you could see. And I thought, I can clean those. And I knew a little bit about the fire department and fire science. And so I went and bought me a big old Wheatley pump that they hydrostatically test pipelines. Put it on a low-boy truck, and I went to cleaning ships. Got Mr. Carlos Marcella. Pardon?
Entrepreneur.
I got $1 million a piece to clean those ships.
Oof.
And I had, an office in Shell Square building there in New Orleans over the square. And
so were you able to do that? Were you doing that before you were moving dope?
No, I took that money from moving the dope. Now I got something to do, and I'm going to invest it in this.
Okay.
And,
so are you trying to get out at the same time?
Yeah,
or are you
I'm
just
get out of it.
Okay.
But that thing didn't work out as good as $1 million. I would hire 500 people a day, and they'd crawl off that ship and down the chain. It wouldn't work. I made some money, but not enough to do it. So I was glad when I sold that thing. So there was a fellow that had a brand new shrimper, and it got somewhere off the coast of Mexico down there, and the freezer went out. And I guess it had 20 tons of rotten shrimp on it. So I says, I can use that shrimper. Let me pay it out $60,000 back pay. And I paid it out and unloaded those rotten shrimp. That was something to put on, the diving equipment.
That's got to be bad.
Oh, it was awful. Anyway, got it cleaned up. I built it was 80-footer, and from about 4 feet from the back, I took all the insulation out of and I've never told this, I never took all the insulation out of the wheel well. I guess it's out of the freezer, I guess 60 feet long, I guess 25 feet wide. And then I built a steel wall across it with a frame just like the rest of the boat was built, and then a trap door. And there was two big rudders, not the rudders, but the shafts from the motors. They're that big around, and you could slide down those and go back there all the way that 60 feet and open that trap door and get in a hidden compartment.
Yeah.
So we went around the world with that shrimp boat. I went to school to get my license for celestial navigation for the United States Coast Guard or something. So I got me a sextant, and we took off around the world. We didn't know nothing, but anyhow, we made it. Went to Pakistan and got the load and come back. And I unloaded in British Columbia, and I flew it down with a float plane into Lake Osset in western Washington. Terrible weather. And I was almost killed there one night. I was so, okay, usually it's for bad weather. And I said, I must have a tailwind. I hit the lake's a little early for me. In the black lake and white water around it. And I pulled the throttle with that thing overloaded in hashish. And didn't turn the lights on, and I got right down almost to touch, and I saw like these pine skaggs sticking up 20 feet high everywhere. It was a clear-cut area where them trees had fallen and tangled down there and logged, and the road around it looked white like the lake.
You had it all reversed.
And I just hanging on a stall, just come out of the jaws of death. Woo. That's probably one of the closest calls I ever had. So anyway.
Are you running no lights at this?
Oh, absolutely.
Which is part of the problem, right? Because you're seeing what
exactly.
you see, but it's in the dark.
Everybody see you too. So anyway, I got out of that, and with that, I had $1 million in my pocket, or a little bit more with that. And so I says, all right, let me quit this business. And that's when I bought a house in Santa Barbara and Hope Branch, and bought that land there, and tied it up anyway. And then I went to flying to support the real estate deals.
And that's what really kept you going. You almost set yourself up to where you had to keep going because of the financial obligation.
Just immature. I just didn't know. I knew how to farm. Everybody in the world I knew was going busted farming.
Right.
So
at that point, then you also trip into you're not moving marijuana anymore. So, and that's where you're able to I got
tortured almost to death in a Mexican prison, and then later on I was taken out and really done a number on by the federales. And I don't know if you want me to go into all that or not.
You may, because again, it's just one of those things that amazes people that you still flip around and go right back into it.
Yeah, I never thought of it, It was just I enjoyed it.
It never occurred to you, and Mari was just
I wanted to quit. I thought we would get them. I thought with that much money and what I'm doing, in the way I've invested, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to be rich than I can imagine.
Yeah.
But it just, people are, so I got a little poem. I just tell a few lines of it. So you come to the tropics, heard all that you had to do was sit in the shade of a coconut glade while those dollars roll into you. Did they tell you that at the Bureau? Did you get those statistics all straight? Well, let me tell you what happened to another lad before you decide your fate. You don't go down with a short, hard fall. You just sort of shuffle along and loosen the load on the moral code till you can't tell the right from the wrong.
It's beautiful, because it is harder. You're kind of myopic. You're in your own world, right? And if you would have taken yourself from 15 years prior and watched what you're doing, you would have had great advice. But living with yourself and watching yourself move incrementally into that business and justifying each little thing
exactly
makes it a little more difficult.
And I was watching a program, and when we do something wrong, let's say adultery, a man that does it, most men have in their life, but when they do it, they're looking at their own pleasure, what they want to do. They are not thinking about how it's going to hurt their wife or their children. So when you do these things, you're doing what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, you love them and you want to do for them, but you're doing it because I did it because I wanted to do it.
The lack of accountability, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. And as young men, you make more of those mistakes.
Yeah, okay, I might get shot, I might go to prison, but I can handle that. But you don't think of what it does to her.
Right.
To meet me at an airport after I've been shot, or to come out the creek and watch the bloodhounds get after me. It's just like unbelievable.
And that was part of my intrigue with the whole story between you two, because I can tell how dedicated you are to one another, and knowing her frame of mind since the beginning and everything, it just seems she must have been also in that same frame of mind where she's getting kind of pulled into justifying this over that, justifying that over the next thing, to where you both find yourself in a...
I think more of hers like, he's going to do it anyway. I mean, I'm not going to divorce him. It's just...
Well, you're lucky she didn't do that.
Oh, exactly. And I'll tell you about that. I got life sentence down in Australia. And I was gone 19 years on that move. And she couldn't visit me. See the hands on the glass? She brought money for my defense, and she's... and she didn't declare it because it was U.S. dollars. And they asked him if you have $10,000 Australian. So they took it from her. Now she's a felon, so she can't visit. Oh. I saw hands up on the glass. And didn't see each other for 19 years. And so I came home and I says, well, Marty, I know you got hit on all the time. What in the world did you say? She said, I didn't put myself in places that I would get hit on. And said, if I did, I'd just say I'm not available. Mm-hmm. And her dad said, and really fine, man. He said, Murray Rogers doing life. He may never get out of there. He may be so old. Why don't you just divorce him and go on with your life? And she said, Daddy, I love him. I just can't. And I said, what? She said, we sit around the table and I say the blessing. And I hold hands with the children. Oh, she's on that side. And I say the same blessing my grandfather said all the time. And he said, I just couldn't imagine another man sitting there at the table after I'd cooked a meal, and you in prison, and then holding hands with our children and saying the blessing. She said, it made me sick to think of it. Isn't that?
Good for her.
That was her side of it.
Good for you, too.
Absolutely.
I always like meeting other men that have married up, like me. But, yeah, so as you get deeper and deeper into this stuff, you end up, and I don't know where the Mexican prison story happened before the Colombian
That's
shooting.
What sent me to Colombia.
So can you tie the stories in a little bit in terms of how you ended up transitioning into moving dope for one of the bigger Colombian enterprises?
Yes, it was real simple. I was in a swimming pool waiting to get a load together, and a man in a nice suit came over and said, "Are you Mr. Ardell?" That was the name I was in. Yes, sir. And he shook hands and he put some handcuffs on me.
Aye.
And he took me to the prison and put me in there. I mean, it was a cell about this big. I believe one time 18 people in there with a 5-gallon bucket to be in. That was it. They come in every morning and look like that same stuff that they cleaned hog pens, disinfected, sprayed it around.
Sprayed down.
We went back in there after 5 minutes. Woo! And after 3 days, and in that time, people left and I gave them Murray's number to call. And some pencil neck SOB from the United States government came in from the embassy and I gave him all the information. He didn't do nothing but just write out a report to the DEA. Not one phone call to my family or nothing. So he needs a visit. I need to look him up.
Yeah, thanks for
50
nothing.
years ago, yeah.
Thanks for nothing.
More than 50 years, yeah. It's more than 50 years ago, 53 years ago. So after 3 days out in that spot, just sitting there, I mean, nothing to eat, and I can get I had a Coca-Cola bottle, and some boy would go to a hot spigot and get me some water. And they took me down in the back, and I mean, they laid into me. And they beat the bottom of my feet till I couldn't walk. And then they put me in a cell 5 foot square and tall and filthy floor. I just lay on that floor, and they took my clothes, and they'd take me out every once in a while and put my head underwater. I mean, it's like some kind of seltzer. You take one whiff of that, you'll take 4 or 5 of them up with you.
Yeah. What were they trying to get out of you?
They wanted me to sign a confession that I had a boat and 2 airplanes and I was hauling marijuana. And they said that they was in a joint task force with American DEA. The DEA couldn't catch me. I was going way out over the Pacific and coming around them. They didn't know I was getting it in.
Okay.
And I didn't buy or sell, so
And is this the first time that you realized that you had eyes on you?
I mean, yes, I reckon so. I don't know. It didn't matter much. I thought they had to catch you.
Right.
I had a parachute and all that stuff. It's going to be hard to catch me.
Yeah.
I had to burn the load in the plane and all that.
Well, apparently not. They just need to shake your hand and then beat your feet and try to drown you, right?
So after some time, they took me out and naked and put chains on me and blew me apart and buttered up my bum. And they had a prisoner there with big, thick fingernails, and he crammed my colon, probably a cupful or two of hot chili pepper up my backside. Man, I'm telling you what, that burnt me up. It almost ruined me. And finally got that stuff washed out and signed the papers. I didn't sign the papers. And then, I don't know how many days it was later, they did things to try to trick you, like bring you food in a couple hours or some more, and then not anymore for 20 hours or something. So you wouldn't know what time it was with the light on.
Mm-hmm.
But at nighttime, when the dope addicts would call for a street, I could hear them thumping them, beating them up. So I could kind of tell when another day. It was kind of rhythm. It was a filthy place back there. So then they came with a dead man. And he was a slim black man. And he was wrapped in about 1 inch wide newspaper, and he was frozen, just like a mummy. And they had him on an ice hook, and they brought him in and hooked him on a hook on the cell where I was. You next, son of a bitch, you next. And that fellow's there, and I thought, if they think a dead man is going to make me sign a confession for 6 years in prison, they out of their mind.
And at that time, I
ain't even thinking about it, you know.
That's also impressive. I mean, how many people do you think would have broken underneath that kind of pressure?
I don't know, but I didn't think about it. It's like, you crazy. I mean,
that's crazy.
You hit my feet. I mean, I ain't going to die from my feet. Chili pepper was the worst part.
Yeah.
And that head under the water was bad too, but I learned to come up, have a fit right before you had to breathe. So, your head's hanging over sideways, and as he started to thaw out, it was hot. And must have been in June 1974, 52 years ago. And it looked like the tears was running down his face as that formaldehyde. His eyes thawed out. And it looked like he was crying.
Wow.
And then the orifices started unraveling, and the formaldehyde was puddling on that floor, kind of had a dent there, and it wasn't going down the drain. And that stuff was just awful. Formaldehyde coming through his rotting guts. It was just nasty. So I put my face under the door like that to breathe. I laid my face on that filthy floor.
What other fresh air?
And the last thing I remember was it was pink pigs flying in the cell with me. I was hallucinating.
And formaldehyde will do it.
Pardon? It
formaldehyde will do it.
Sure did it. So I woke up in the hospital with a doctor, and I had a respirator on me. And he was, in English, he was saying, breathe, man. Breathe. Breathe, senor.
Wow, so they didn't want to kill you, obviously. Somebody saw.
They almost did, but without knowing it, I think. So then they put me back in general population. And I got a message to Mari, and she came down and paid me out.
And that's all you needed in the first place for just
I don't know.
Get somebody to.
I don't know how much.
Well, it's not a bond.
Yeah, of course, it's the whole thing in Mexico.
Graft.
Nothing you can't buy out down.
Yeah.
Nothing.
But you just couldn't get a hold of her to even get the message there. And she's at home probably wondering.
Well, she knows something bad's happened.
Right. Mm-hmm. But maybe thinking the worst. I mean, you're going through a lot.
She don't know, absolutely. I was there for a couple of months, so it took a bit. And then I started working again, and I was in a hotel, and I ordered a huevos ranchero for breakfast, just at daylight.
At what hotel?
In one in Mazatlan.
Okay.
And I don't forget what
Mexican
it was. Oh, no, it was a Holiday Inn, 6th floor.
Okay.
No balcony.
All right.
And I opened the door with no shirt on, with my blue jeans, and a great big Mexican had his the tray with the hot coffee on it, and it looked like a tin. And I opened the door, and he just put that 45 between my eyes. Federal Police to Mexico, you move, I kill you. So he said, get dressed. So he's looking at my passport, and I was going to minibar. And several times I've used a Coca-Cola bottle to be an equalizer. So I took one out.
Those are the old school bottles are hard to break.
They will even up the score right quick.
Good as a rock with a handle, yeah.
So anyhow, my hand kind of trembled. And he had his head down. I could have knocked him out so quick. I didn't know how many was in the hall or downstairs or what they knew or what the deal was. I knew I didn't have anything. I want nothing. So,
but you already knew that didn't matter to them. They're still going to drag you into the next.
So they went pistol in my ribs and down the elevator, and there was 3 carloads of them down there, brand new LTDs, and put me in the middle between a bunch of them with the guns in my ribs and took me through town by the prison. Thank goodness it didn't stop, and it went across the railroad track, then down it, bumpy. And I think it was 7 of them. And they told me that they were with that joint task force from Mexico City, DEA, and that they were there to get a confession out of me. They had the papers there for me to sign.
The voice reading my articles to you, it's mine, but I never recorded it. 11 Labs cloned it flawlessly. Try your own voice. Links right below. Okay, right back to it.
All over again.
Oh my gosh, what is going through your mind at this point? You already know what's coming now.
Well, I know I'm going to get whooped.
Is it worse knowing what's coming than it is?
No, it was kind of like almost a joke. I said, they put me out here in these woods. I'm going to get away from them.
Okay.
It was just like
I'm not letting them.
Brer Rabbit ain't going to be, he going to eat that tar baby up.
Yes.
So I got out of the car, and the big red face one had a big sailfish with a ruby eye on it hanging over his neck. And I guess he weighed 250, 225, something like that. And I said, ¿Dónde está su avión? Where's your airplane? And I said, I don't speak Spanish. He had that big thing, and he hit me upside the head with an open flap and knocked me plumb off my feet. I said, my Spanish improved.
Immediately.
So anyway, they took it and tied my hands behind me with my belt. I had a leather belt and tied it good and tight. I mean, he did a number on it. And then he had me down and pulled my shirt up over my head, back I had a white shirt on. And they went to thumping on me. It wasn't excruciating. It would bust your nose and lips and hit you upside the head and slap you on the ears and all,
Well, yes, I know. But again, this is the country boy in you, because a lot of people would even break from that. But you're a tough guy. You're like, hey, I've already been through all this
they
stuff.
Ain't gonna
this
kill
is
me
nothing.
if I was in a fist fight. This ain't no worse.
Right.
know?
Exactly. Exactly.
So then they went and got the cattle prod. It's a bull one, about that long, and they went to work on me. And they over 100 times on my tender spots.
Oh.
Around my groin, particularly up on my butt, wherever it could get one. It burned. I mean, it'll burn. It burns you. The 2 little things, you just, you will move. Well, that thing went on for 2 or 3 hours. I guess it was 10 o'clock in the morning now, and that man is as tired of it as I am. Then once in a while, he grabbed me by the hair and pulled it up, sign. No, senor. And started again. Well, then the cattle prod, the batteries got dead, and it wasn't doing much. So they called the town. And, I got to tell you what this place was. About an acre, and it had been pushed off with a bulldozer in the jungle and had piles of dirt where they had, over the years, and this is where they dumped the dead cows and goats and burros. Okay. And that was where, and they put me in all that cairn that was rotting. Gourd vines all over everything. And beyond that, trees. And so whenever they come with some new batteries, 5 or 6 of them went back up there to kiss ass to the boss man and left me there with old red face.
Uh-oh.
By that time, I've had so much blood and sweat on me and I've swum around till my belt is stretched and I can get that hand off, but I don't let him know it already.
Okay.
And there's rocks everywhere, like that cotton field rocks. There's kind of red rocks. I got one about like a baseball. And I said, I'll sign. He couldn't believe his ears. And he leaned over and I came up with that fist loaded and hit him in the head. And he went down like a pole-like stalk.
Done.
Boom. I took off. I mean, I'm running like crazy for that pile of dirt, get behind it. And they opened up with their pistols, all 5 or 6 of them. And the dirt, I can see it was dry. And the dirt was just popping up around me all over those things. It didn't hit me at all. And just as I went to go over that thing, a little machine gun pistol opened up and it shredded the stuff above me. And a vine caught me right at the top, right over my nose and just crushed it. And as I was going that way, my feet kept going and I must have dropped 5 or 6 feet down on my back. And you could have heard the bump when I hit. And then I went, oh. And all the shooting stopped. They thought it done kill me. I got off.
You clotheslined yourself. But did you knock the wind out of you or something?
No, it didn't. It
just
probably did, but I was happy that I was laying behind that dirt.
Right.
So I didn't worry about it. So anyway, it was quite a story how I got out of that, but I got out of there and got back home. So Mari said, and I did too, that they'll kill you if you keep going back there.
Yeah.
They know you're there, so that's it. Don't do it. So,
in terms of Mexico in general.
Yeah, not even never go back to Mexico again, because they even put out that I killed that guy, but of course I didn't kill him. But I gave him a headache, that's for sure.
Knocked him out. That's one thing.
But I'll tell you almost a ghost story. I called the fella, and he come with my airplane. He was supposed to come anyway, and I called him, David McMahon, and I paid him $5,000 to bring the airplane down so I could monitor my load. They'd been giving me bad loads. So I did. So he brought the airplane down, and I flew back and unloaded the load and then flew to San Diego because I had property in Mexico and about $40,000 in a lockbox in Tijuana. Well, they had my wallet, and then they had that bank, the Bank of Tijuana, Bank of Banamex. They had the card. So I said, I got to get there early so I can get that stuff out before they find out about it. So I flew to Jim's there in San Diego and tied my airplane down after I'd unloaded in the desert and got a cab and went to that bank. And when I go in there, and the boss, the president of the bank, sitting up on a dais, and when the lady told him I wanted to have my lockbox drilled out because I didn't have the key with me, it was in Santa Barbara, I didn't have time. So he looked up like quick, just like, and I thought, he knows.
He knew who you were.
He's waiting, and he reached for the telephone, and I almost ran. And the lady realized, said, he's calling to lock me, senor, said he'll be here in a while.
Did you believe
She
him?
thought, well, I didn't know. I wanted that money and those deeds. I really did.
Yeah.
And you ain't going to run just because a guy looks at you.
Right. Then they will be suspicious and call somebody.
So I'm sitting there, and I hear high heel shoes behind me, and I'm sitting on a nice sofa, and there's a woman. Maybe she's 40 years old. And she said, Senor Reaves, the federal police are here for you. Come with me. That was the angel. I'm telling you, I don't know where it come from out of the blue. I don't know her, never seen her. So I saw them come through the door. They locked the door, the bank front door, and they got them black shades on and all that military stuff, and all of them holding them little Uzis. And they meant business.
In Mexico.
So she come and said, go in the bathroom. I said, no. And there was a big window there, and there was some cement blocks. I just couldn't probably bust it out anyway. And then a policeman came up, stood there with his old gun, talking to somebody, fat policeman. I said, if I bust out this bank, he gonna shoot me.
Yeah.
So then she went on back to the back, and it was like a warehouse. And she said, here, go through here. And there's a little stainless steel lock door. And she gave me her phone number, said, I'm Alicia, call me. And so she pushed a button somewhere else, and that little door opened. That's where the Brinks truck backs up. I went through that thing. I mean, I just squeezed through it, and I fell in on 6 feet on top of the asphalt on the street. It was hot. And I ran like crazy, got on one bus. I rode it a block or two, jumped off, and went on another one. And so I knew I better not ever go back to Mexico. So that's when I went to Colombia, and I met Mr. Pablo Escobar and Jorge Ochoa.
Yeah, so you did finally learn one lesson.
They're going to kill you if you keep going here. This is uncomfortable.
Right. But you did insist on, okay, let me go link up with this Ochoa and Escobar. I'd love to get your thoughts on those guys, because I know what you think of them, but I'd love to hear your explanation of how you distinguish yourself from those guys in the way they did business. And how did you get into business with them? Because at the time, I know there was kind of you had a work resume by then to bring to them. Did they come to you, or you go to them?
No, I met a lawyer and had a little dealing with him. It didn't work out, and so he took me to we flew from Bogota. He wanted me to introduce him, and so we went to Medellin and landed in a 707. Remember those things? And that thing, oh, it was shaking. I thought it might come apart. We landed right downtown. They said that was one of the most dangerous airports in the world at Medellin until the new one was built. I mean, the wing nearly touched the buildings. And we landed there. We went to, I guess, the most palatial condominium I've ever seen in my life. And those verdant, blue green mountains looking over Medellin. And there was an old drunk up there, kind of a Winston Churchill. I guess he spoke 15 languages. He must have been a genius. And he was a cocaine man, Fernando Correo. And he had, I think, 15 miles of beach, of jungle along the Pacific coast. And he told me he paid $5,000 a kilo and that he had plenty of work. But go see his wife. So I went to see his wife, Marta, lived on the golf course with a nice house. And me and her and Mara and all, so I went down there. We became friends. So I said, he'll sober up one day. He drank 3 bottles a day.
Ay.
And
you're about to go into business with this cat.
Well, he's the man that's got it.
Yeah.
So I had flown back and got my airplane, and the DEA had filled up one engine with metal shavings. And I got to police and took off in there, and that engine seized up. And I finally just made it into New York, into Belize City. And I mean, that thing was overloaded just for fuel. And I cut the other engine, and I taxied and parked. And the police and the soldiers were all behind their sandbags because they at war with El Salvador or whatever, in Guatemala. And so they didn't believe that I could taxi up and park it with one engine. You know how they'll turn around. Mm-hmm. But I got enough momentum. And so one of the military mechanic came out, and he had a hat full of shavings from a metal factory. And they had tore my engine up. So I just said, if we can't catch him, we'll kill him.
Yeah, they rigged you.
Absolutely. And so I didn't have anything nice for them. I mean, those boys they were going to stop me.
Yeah.
So anyway, this Fernando, while I was up in Belize getting that engine changed, his wife called me and said they're having a birthday party for Fernando and to come down. So I flew down to Medellin, and they had the Colombian anyhow, their airliner. They had these British shorts, carry about 40 people apiece, shuffling them over to his place on the Pacific. And they had, I guess, 20 little houses up on stilts, all painted different stuff, a river coming in, and the ocean turning it down to beach red, and an old log house, and a woman cooking all kind of steers and stuff on goats. And so it was, they had it going on. People walking around with their bags of cocaine, and that's the whole story. I mean, it's almost too tell. One fella got shot, and blood sparkled on the book that I was reading, MMK's The Forest Pavilion. I've never finished that book. Anyway, that was on the weekend that they got together and decided that they would stop the killing. And there was about 300 people came in there, and it was a big party. And so then from that, I met this, because of that killing, they took most everybody out of there, but the poor folks was left. And I was left in there with this Mario and Matilda. I met them on the airline coming down. She spoke perfect English.
Okay.
And so I was walking with a girl on the beach, and she met us coming the other way and said, Roger, Mario tells me that you're walking with the girlfriend of the most vicious killer of Colombia. He suggests you get away from her.
Sorry.
So, excuse me, lady. No, we just walked not even a block. She's just chatting. I don't know why I'm here. I've never flown in an helicopter. I've never flown before. I don't know why this man invited me. And I thought, honey, you fixing to find out. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's what it was. So Mario took me back and we went into Envigado, just above Medellin, and went there's little, they call them fincas, maybe a few acres each. And the rich people over the years had built them, and they come up with the two guys with their guns, and they opened it. So we drove through, and there was 40 men outside in their fedoras and waiting to be talked to the jefe.
Right.
Beautiful old house. It looked like it was 300 years old, sagging top, and the moss hanging everywhere and the green. And so hitching rails out front, it just left like it was. It was a museum almost.
Yeah.
And we came up and we was issued right in. And there was a drop-dead gorgeous woman. She said, be careful for the hole in the floor. They had a hole that big, but it was polished around.
Yes, ma'am.
And she took us in to see Jorge Ochoa. And he had a great big desk. He got up, shook hands, spoke a little English. And he had 12 telephones on his desk, all of them a different color. And I laughed at what he said, oh, that's New York, and that's Chicago, and this is Miami.
Oh,
when they
wild.
ring, I know which one is I'm talking to.
Wild.
So
Old school phones.
Yeah. So he says, asked me what airplanes I had. And I told him I had a DC-3, a Beech 18, a Aero Commander 690. And he says, what's your experience? I said, I've hauled well over 100 loads across. I've never been caught. And so he said, well, I have all the work you can do for $5,000 a kilo if you want to do it. And I thought about 500 kilos at $5,000. That's $2.5 million for an 8-hour trip. I think I'll take that.
That changed the game in terms
So
of
he said, well,
the income.
just a minute. And he called and buzzed the pretty lady. And he said, told her something in Spanish. And so she went next door and brought in a man about my size and had a plaid shirt on, and khaki pants, iron stiff, and brown shoes, polished. I remember very well. Shook my hand, nice. And Senor Pablo Escobar, about my age. And
at that time, you knew who he was, right?
No, never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
He wasn't nobody. He'd been smuggling washing machines and stuff out of Panama.
Okay, so this is early in his career, so to speak.
Yes, and so what it was is that there was 3 factions in Colombia. They was almost divided up pretty well. They had the FARC guerrillas and other guerrilla groups, and they control the coca plantations. They was that part of the world down there was where it grown.
Right.
And then you had the military, and they was into it big as you could imagine. The government was. And then you had the Contras, the white landowners that had the mountains and the stuff closer to town. And they didn't like one another. They was all striving for the same business.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why. So I got hooked up with the Contra, with the Contras there. They Contra the guerrillas, really.
Right.
And that was Pablo Escobar. And so that's why they just. So they said they told all the growers in South America, give it to us, and we will ship it to your man in Miami for $10,000 a kilo. If it gets caught anywhere between here and there, from the time you give it to us until Roger gives it to your man in Miami, we will guarantee we will replace it in Colombia. So I understand they had 100 tons piled up on them. So I went to work.
With that guarantee, it's
just did it.
Did you ever worry about losing a load and then finding out that there was a penance besides just replacing it? Because it seems like obviously
they would not have cared about that.
Really?
Not at all. Well, of course, they care about losing a load, but they wouldn't imagine much money as they was making. That,
but would they have suspected? I mean, people had to have been thieving some of it, which would have been a different set of circumstances.
I was one time in George Ochoa's office, and they come in and said that they give a man, I believe it was Los Angeles or somewhere, 40 or 50 kilos, and he went to Vegas and lost the money. What should we do, senor?
Right.
He said, is he a good salesman? He said, one of the best. He said, give him 50 more. He'll pay it back.
Interesting. So he did have an appreciation for that much
human
outrageous
nature,
profit and having a sense about him.
Well,
so knowing what you know now about Escobar, what was your sense about him when you met him? He seemed cordial, but how do you compare yourself working under the guise of that type of a person? What's a differentiator between you and he, for instance?
Well, at that time, it was before all this additives went to cocaine. Only the rich and the famous was doing it. It was pure. There was no matter what's the stuff they lacing it with now and all that fentanyl stuff. It was nothing like that. You could, any cocaine you had was pure.
Right.
Nobody was dying from it. Before all this stuff came out, cocaine was used for teeth extraction and Coca-Colas and all kinds.
Numbing agents and stuff.
It was classified by the government as a non-narcotic controlled substance. way down on the list.
Okay.
Now then, Richard Nixon is having a lot of trouble with the hippies, Kent State.
Right.
And he says, all right, the black folks are doing the heroin and the hippies are doing pot. Let's lock them up. Let's get them off the street. Straight out. Kissinger's telling him, you can hear the words. Yep. You don't keep that war going, senor. Mr. President, you won't be president again. So he shoots two fishing boats in Hanang Harbor to continue to kill 56,000 of our young people so he can keep president. And he started that war on drugs.
Right.
So that's where it all come from. And now it's got really, really bad criminals. I mean, criminals. We was us outlaws just running and having a good time.
And that's why I think Pablo viewed himself too as a bandit.
Yes, but then he wasn't. He was a cold-blooded killer.
I mean, because once it's about money, that changes people's...
I don't know. He must have had it in him to start with. He must have been a very bad person. But he didn't seem to be. But anybody, I mean, I know that the police was killing his people, and he had a war with them. That ain't good. But you blow my house up, I might blow yours up too.
Right.
So that was going on. And then when he brought that airliner out of the sky, had somebody blow it up and killed all those people, I just thought, I'm sorry I ever shook his hand. I'm sorry he ever made a nickel off of me. Yes, I can repent of that.
Yeah, and that's, do you ever think about, or did you ever think about, I differentiate you now versus then. Did you ever consider what your contribution might have been to addiction or incarceration or murders out of proxy?
Absolutely, and I'm sure they did. There had to be some murders out of all that cocaine and stuff that was moving.
Yeah.
At that time, and people will argue about it, but I don't really, for pure cocaine, people want it just like they want food or sex or gambling, but is it really addicting? It's not like cigarettes or heroin. I don't even think it's as bad as alcohol as far as you want it again once you become an alcoholic. Mm. People can do cocaine and not think about it again. Is my experience with the people. Now, it may not be, but the people started to argue with you about it. But
and you were never a user yourself?
No, I don't use it at all.
Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't know either. I mean, I can only...
Oh, I tried it, but I didn't. I liked the feeling, but then yuck afterwards.
Yeah. And that maybe is what makes it addicting too, is the mental crash afterwards, to where the only thing to fix the crash is to get up again. Maybe
they can't afford to.
Yeah, you go out of business quick.
Yes, really. So yeah, I'm sorry that I was ever affiliated with anything of what it cost my family and me, and then any of the people I don't even know. But I don't feel huge guilt over it. Just like I think that we have God's laws, and there's 10 of them. If we abide by them, we wouldn't need the courts and the police. For sure.
Okay.
And
interesting. Yeah.
Some of these other ones break the law. They just all degrees. I mean, 1,000 new laws are made every day.
Yeah, and they accrue. They don't like take a bunch off.
Oh,
they
exactly.
just keep stacking.
You still got. You can't run your mule or horse over 32 miles in Georgia.
Right. So. And you ended up being like an escape artist. I want to make sure I'm kind of expediting through this, because I really want to talk a lot about the prison, and when Mari was obviously due. I mean, her helping you escape and stuff. That's pretty amazing stuff. Maybe we do that in part 2, but her part in that is fascinating to me too. Again, knowing that her conscience, she's having to override her conscience in order to do these things that are otherwise something she would never have done in her 20 years prior.
Neither would I.
Right?
It just happened.
So you started making a bunch more money doing this.
Made $2.5 million a day.
And then you end up finally getting essentially ratted out. So what is your, I mean, I know you have a relationship with Barry Seal's son now, but what does his relationship have to do with this whole process and getting you hemmed up?
That's quite a story. I got above the clouds one night, above the fog, and I couldn't get down. Doing 300 miles an hour with 300 kilos behind me in a turbojet Aero Commander. And I couldn't make it. Dallas, Atlanta, Miami, Chicago, all fogged in. Eastern part of the United States is covered.
Mm.
And it scared me. So to save my life, I came down the glide slope in New Orleans International Airport and bounced down that runway in the fog. And when I got stopped, I said, I'm never going to do that again.
So that scared you enough.
Scared me to death.
The
I thought for sure that might be my last night on Earth. And you just can't tell. I'm not that good. I mean, I can fly an airplane, but I ain't coming down between power lines and towers and Lake Pontchartrain and all that stuff right down. Just got like, oh, baby, 100 miles an hour, you know what's going to hurt.
No.
So
you decided to sub out some of the work?
It. So the next morning, like 8 or 9 o'clock, the sun shining through there. I turned the radio, everything's still fogged in. Any little security if they could have come around down that runway, a life sentence right there. I'm sitting on it.
You'd have been doomed.
I can't jump off and leave it. I'd get shot, I reckon. So I took off in the airplane, took off and went across, and by that time it had thinned out a little bit, and I just took a dive at the ground, and zoop, I got down there, and I told Harvey, I says, I'm hanging up my gun, boys. And I told the Colombians in Miami that was it. Oh, Roger, please. They're making a living off of me now.
Yeah.
And so I knew Barry. I thought, now let me ask Barry. So I asked Barry. Yeah, so I'll give you $1 million a trip. So he went to flying. And
so you split it, essentially, because you say you're making about $2 million of
2.5. So,
yeah. I mean, it's still great for him.
Yeah, exactly. And he said, you got to put $50,000 on there for Bill Clinton. So he said, the only place I'm going to land is Mena, Arkansas. So every time I'd give him $1 million, I'd put that other little thing on for the governor. And so he said, I'm going to have dinner with the governor tonight.
Yeah.
And,
please ignore this, right?
Exactly.
Here's your donation. Please don't just ignore this. Everything's fine.
He might have been lying to me. Mr. Clinton, I don't know, but that's what he said.
Makes sense.
I paid $1.5 million to Mr. Clinton, or an imaginary Mr. Clinton.
Right. Somebody's
they got that called Killary in Arkansas. I don't know no part of that. So I hired Barry, and then they just got begging me, so I hired another fellow, Jerry Wills, who lives here in Palos Verdes. So,
and was that the real turning point where that was your fatal mistake? Turning it into an enterprise?
That didn't do it.
No? They
came and they arrested me for old marijuana charges. They charged me with a continuing criminal enterprise, which carries up to life in prison. I was number 41 for 400 pounds of marijuana. They got deal. They wanted my property. They wanted me to talk, but they knew nothing about Colombia. So I had a $5 million bail, and with nobody here, and you had to prove where the money come from. They had no idea that I was sitting on that kind of millions of dollars.
Yeah, they
locked me up, and I couldn't get out, and everybody told on me. Everybody worked on my airplane, unloaders, everybody. They just rolled dominoes. So I'm left, and so I fell into court, and they gave me a 5-year sentence, 25 years special parole. Anytime you violate, you'll do all the part, and 5 years probation, all stacked on top of one another. So I did 2.5 years in prison. And while I was in, Barry had turned. He turned state's evidence, went to working for him.
Right. DEA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just got out of prison, and I'm watching the TV, and there's Ronald Reagan Blue Eyes right on television in the morning. He said, we have absolute proof that the communist Sandinista government is in the cocaine running business. Well, I'd been refueling there all those years.
Mm-hmm.
And Barry had too. He couldn't believe it. So, and I saw the plane. I knew the plane. So, Barry has done it. Later on in like a good book, it's called The Kings of Cocaine. You can see Pablo Escobar, striped his shirt. He's carrying those bales of cocaine from one plane to the other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the picture he snapped.
Yeah. Well, he snapped 1,000 of them. And then he had to go back in there, and they're snapping inside and under the wing, and he goes there and takes them out of the camera. Right. You get to see him and that DEA agent, Jake Jacobson, would have been fed to the pigs.
Yeah.
Ain't no doubt. I mean, you're talking about,
So
he put the president of the Turks and Caicos, anyway, I should cut that out. So anyway, I love Barry, and Barry was our friend, but he got under such pressure that he snapped and he went to work for him.
He flipped.
So he called and he said, Roger, I'm coming out tonight. Meet me at this little French restaurant at 9:00. Oh, Lord.
And you already had a sense that this was...
I'm on probation. Got 30 years of probation on.
Right.
I just got out of prison. I'm still going every day or two to see his parole officer. And he was terrible. Nastiest man I ever met.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Oh, even the parole people hated him. They did. Stanley Schwartz. Oh, God. And so I went to the restaurant, and Barry was leaning up at the back, and I walked up to him in a room full of people, leather skirts, pistols under the shirt, all this women, men. And I said, are you wired, Barry? He said, no. I said, well, you talk to me. I ain't going to say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So he went to telling me what happened, and he went to crying. And he put his hands up over his eyes, and the tears run between his fingers. He said, Roger, I just couldn't do it. Facing 3 life sentences, I told him everything. But you're my friend, and I put you under my umbrella. You just testify before grand jury. You can live anywhere you want to on earth, any name you want. Ain't nobody going to ever touch you again. I said, they all DEA. He said, every one of them. I said, bring your head honcho over. So he brought over a man, I like him, Jake Jacobson.
Okay.
We'd been on the same side. We'd been friends.
Right.
I mean, we are still friends. It don't matter.
Right. Not anymore, it doesn't.
No,
At one point, it kind of does.
Even then, it just human being doing their job.
Yeah.
And so he came over and says, you can come tomorrow first class with Mari, or I'd take you down tonight and change, whichever one you want. But if I take you down tonight and change, the only place you'll ever see your family again, as long as you live, is in a federal penitentiary visiting room. I can promise you that. I said, I'm going first class, Jake.
Mm-hmm.
So the next day, Mari and I flew down first class, or business class anyhow, and I went to a lawyer. And I said, Mr. Lawyer, I got to do something. I told him what ship I'm in. I said, got to go to a grand jury this afternoon. He said, well, I tell you what, I'll represent you for $600,000, but I don't talk to snitches. Well, my face turned red. I said, well, I'm not a snitch, man. He said, well, that's what you're talking about.
Right.
Whoa, man, I've got to tell them something.
Right.
He said, let me tell you something. You go in, he said, being a snitch is like being pregnant. You either are or you're not. You go in there and tell them one thing and you don't tell them everything, they'll convict you of everything you've told them.
Right.
You got to tell on your mama when you go in there. And I don't like you nor your attitude, so I'm getting on out of here. So I went and saw another guy. Oh, he was much better. He told me the same thing. So I went to the courthouse where I was supposed to meet him. I said, I got to buy some time here. And so 3 or 4 o'clock, whatever time it was, hot in Miami, and great big marble pillar sticking up in front of the courthouse. I kind of got behind one, and I saw him coming, 3 carloads, just like they did with the federales.
Great.
And they got him in the middle, and they got the machine guns, and they looking this way, and they looking out. And they stopped right in front of me, 2 steps down. They looking all this way. And I came down, and I hit the top of that car. Bam! Hey, shit.
Yeah.
They went crazy in there. They turning around trying to find where it goes.
That's not nice.
And I said, see how easy it would be.
I'm sure they loved you for that. They were already fans of yours.
Anyhow, I think when they got over, found out they weren't bombed, they were all.
Yeah, that's true too.
So I said, I'm having trouble with a lawyer. Well, use mine. We'll see you, So, all right, I took his card.
Barry says this?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
I used his lawyer.
Okay.
He's wing back. So I said, all right, Barry. So I went to the Festival restaurant in Coral Gables that night. And Barry probably knew I would be there. And he came in with Debbie. And it was on my birthday, 1986, I guess it was. Yeah, January 26th. And we was about finished, so we waited for them. And then I went over and had dessert with them, and I just hugged Barry's neck. I said, my friend, they're going to kill you. He said, oh, no. I said, Barry, listen, look at me. They're going to kill you.
He really wasn't worried.
I don't know. He was arrogant sucker. Just he would bait the police in Louisiana. They hate him. They marched by his camp, coughing all of them to make sure the sucker was dead.
Yeah.
Y'all ain't got sense enough to catch me. What you burned up this government gas
Well, you
for?
have to have a little bit of that gumption, right, to be in that business anyway, right?
I don't know. I didn't have it. I didn't bother them.
Yeah. Yeah, and you would have known. I mean, you already did know, hey, you cross these fools like this and take all these pictures, and Colombians don't hang out and wait for you.
Exactly. So anyway, we went, Mari and I, we took children, went to Brazil, and a few months later, he killed him.
He assassinated the Colombians.
Yeah.
Assassinated him, yeah.
There's a version of this that doesn't make it here. The part I only send to the mailing list community, early, before it goes anywhere else. Free. Links in the description for those who want to be on the inside.
And so you're still close with this kid? Talk to him?
Yeah, anytime they just was.
You ever talk to Pablo's kid?
No, I didn't. I didn't. He was a baby then, so I didn't.
Yeah. I'm just
same as Aaron was too. But I don't know. I talked to him if he wanted to. I don't know.
Yeah.
My daddy was Pablo Escobar. That's all he's got going for him.
Right. Yeah, I was just curious if you guys have ever crossed paths or whatever. And so I'm curious then too. Obviously, prison became a big part of your life, and I want to be respectful of your time, but also you have a lot to say about it that I think is important.
Okay.
And, and I say me from the other side of the law. I mean, I only a stint of my livelihood was done in law enforcement, and I was an undercover guy that infiltrated. And I have a particular fondness for guys that I learned to appreciate because, whether it's a different race, different cultures, whatever, everybody, the good people realize that, hey, we can all get along. There's something in common. But I think for a long time, and for most people, they miss the fact that, hey, but if you're a killer, or you're a gang member, or you're a trafficker, or you're whatever, they put these categorized people in this other box and say, well, but certainly those are criminals and we have nothing in common with them. And it was my experience that we absolutely still do. There's that part of them that compels them to commit the crimes that they do. And sometimes it's just your environment, where you grew up or whatever. And then you have a completely different story. But I felt like there was so much in common. And your story about the DEA agent being on the other side, you could have been friends. I mean, I actually did become friends with a lot of these people and stayed friends when they were, in the penitentiary and everything, or in the feds. So I would love to hear about your experiences once you got into prison. I mean, aside from the fact that you've escaped from prison 3 times or so, but your relationships with the people and what types of people that you learned about in there. What was the most eye-opening experience through your long prison stint?
Well, I'd like to just kind of back up a little bit. We have a broken system here. No doubt about it. Badly broken compared to Australia and Germany. Holland. It's disgustingly bad. I believe that we should go back to the old law. I believe Deuteronomy in the Bible. It says if anybody testifies against another person and he's testifying a lie, that he would receive the same sentence that his victim would have.
Mm-hmm.
So the DEA, on all the stuff that they did, they were completely fair. I didn't see one lie in they said. But when a prosecutor stands up and screams at the jury, did you kill Bill Bob? You know Bill Bob. The jury's already heard it. That fool got up in front of me and talked about the tons of heroin that I had brought into the country.
Mm.
And he kept saying, and heroin. And he couldn't he couldn't bring himself to say marijuana. He kept yelling heroin. And my lawyer was a good one. He said, I'm from Missouri. Put up or shut up. Like he was going to fire you.
There's a difference.
And that old Judge Hatter, he's a black judge, he put his head down, dang near laughed. So it shouldn't be allowed.
Right.
And in Germany, you have 5 judges. And in Australia, 3. And on the second appeal, the first one. And I'm telling you, they have rehabilitation programs, work programs, all kinds of stuff, and they help people. It's a whole different world. I came in there, and the director of the prison brought me in and had a cup of tea with him in his office, on mahogany, and he said, now, Reaves, we are here to keep you. We're not here to punish you. When the judge gives you that sentence, it's a punishment to be in prison away from your family. You behave yourself, you'll get along well here. I'm sorry you got a life sentence, but you're here for a long time.
That sounds really logical.
What a nice man.
Yeah. And there's a guy from the other side again who sees you as a human.
As a person.
Yeah. And that was an experience that later on, when you went transferred over to an American prison, didn't even compare.
It was like heaven and hell. I mean, they put me in a lifer pod, 300 of us, and everybody in there had to be doing life. And they let us have the Oval 2 hours by ourselves, and hardly anybody went out there. They smoked their cigarettes and do that thing. And I would run the 2 hours, and we just on the green grass, really nice places to chin up, bars, and it was all right. And 6 men in a nice apartment, where you had your own room, 15 feet by like 9 or 10 feet wide, bed and television, remote control, your shower, your toilet, all separate in a nice, it didn't cost nothing to build those things out of concrete. The bed, the desk, everything was just nice concrete. Mm-hmm. And you had a key to your door with a thick door like that. And of course, the guards had their key to it. And we had a front door to it. Other people couldn't come in and steal. So the 6 of us could lock our door. We usually didn't, and they give us a $360 voucher for food per week. And then you would order it, and they would bring the food, and you cooked your own food.
You'd learn how to budget too.
Yeah, and I was older, and you can eat well. I mean, you can eat well at $60 a week there. And of course, you got to eat some beans and rice, but not all together. Chicken con carne and just that sort of stuff. But you can make it tasty. And so I cooked for 18 years. And I said, if you don't cook it pretty good, somebody tell you about it. I didn't do it all the time, but
get
I
creative.
Did. So, yes.
Get creative.
So just that. And then I had 2 years of Shakespeare acting. Lovely lady. I just loved her. She came in. It was every day. We just went to the theater and practiced acting. And then I learned to set tile and lay bricks and all kind of stuff. They had all kind of carpentry stuff. I did every one of them.
So what do you say to people who would actually detest this story that you're telling about you should be punished and they don't care about torture? Or, we have so many Texas state prisons now. They're like 70% don't even have an air conditioning unit installed. And, and they don't have any empathy for people in that situation. What do you say to them though?
The people that, I get that every day. I get my views and the comments, and people say it, and I just say, remember to take that plank out of your own eye. Do you remember that? You know what that's talking about?
No.
He's talking about Jesus. He was just talking to him, and that was one of them. He said, before you criticize your neighbor, he's got the speck in his eye. Take the plank out of your own eye first.
Yeah. And it's just a lack of perspective, right? Because I think
a lot of it's just ignorance.
Yeah, your warden at the first place explained it perfectly. Like, this isn't the same. You getting an acting class or learning a new language or linking up and playing backgammon with friends is nothing like being at home and being able to do that. You're still confined to a concrete cell. It's not the same.
Bend over and spread them, Reeve. You know what I'd always say? Is it still in the center? You go to hell.
Hey, at least you get a positive
You're the one
response each
looking.
time. That's proper. Yeah. So I think that's what people miss is that perspective. Is that it's
they just sad people. They just trolls and miserable people everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think that good people would have a little different. But in my 33 years in prison, I've seen some very evil people, evil to the bone.
So where are they? Where are most of them? Are they inmates or are they jailers or are they both?
They're inmates, but I've seen a few guards that were just evil too.
Mm-hmm.
But most of them are not. But you get in maximum security prison, you get some bad people.
So when you've talked about the types of people that get ignored or don't get proper treatment and stuff, who belongs in American prisons and who doesn't belong? How would you change the way that lines are drawn?
100%.
What would you do?
First off, I would make a mental illness program in the United States like Jimmy Carter had until Nixon destroyed it. He stopped them. Right. Of course, it was being abused, 100%, just like the Medicare and all that's being abused now.
Right.
But these people need some help. And I would say the men need vasectomies too. That stuff is hereditary. A great portion of the mental illness is. And I got a real wow one on this one about my daughter's a doctor and she delivered a baby from a 10-year-old girl. Incest.
Wow.
We have so much of that in the world. You watch it, these homeless people, tens and tens of thousands of them walking the streets and crapping in the bushes and whatever it is. It's a shame on America. It's a shame that we have it. And I would say that a good portion of those are mentally ill or got some trouble with them.
Right.
Now, they need some help. And we need not be worried about some of the stuff that we're wasting money on and put it on our own people. Clean those people up. And then I know that it won't start in America, but it'll start in China or Russia or somewhere else, that a woman will have to have a permit to have a baby. If you can't support yourself or you're a drug addict or you're mentally ill, you shouldn't be bringing little children in the world. We have, I believe, about 300,000 a year babies go into foster care.
Yeah. Plus
the orphans. Those little children, nobody love them.
Yeah.
It's just terribly, terribly sad. And I see these people got a dog in a little baby carriage. I thought, how much better it would be if they go get one of these little children and take it for an ice cream. Yeah. But they won't do it. It's not popular. It's not like dress up and do it.
It's a massive undertaking too. I mean, you get a big responsibility, but so important.
Yeah, but I mean, you could just do it once a week, just something.
Right.
To care. Oh, that's getting off of the subject. But we need a mental health program. And then I would certainly have a trade school right in the dead center of the United States. And it would be big. I mean, big. And if a young man or any man comes in there and he's stolen a car and the penalty is 5 years, I'd give him an aptitude test and say, we need plumbers. You make the grade. You want to be a plumber or you want to go to prison?
It's a great choice.
Now then, plumber making $200,000 a year, he don't need to steal a car to make $5,000 when he gets out.
Right.
When your sentence is not 5 years, your sentence is 10 years if you misbehave. But you can go home when you get to be a certified plumber.
It's a great idea.
Of course, it cleaned the whole world up.
And it would certainly define the people that were willing to put in the work to do the right thing and the people that weren't, which begs back into my question, which is, there's some people that you met that are so evil that, look, this guy's gone, please don't let him out.
Never.
Right, right.
Never.
And I met people like that too. I was like, yes, I'm friends with a lot of these guys, but I'm also terrified that a lot of these guys are going to get back out. And
they should never, ever. I mean,
right.
I'm not against death penalty a bit in the world. Somebody killed my family and stuff. They're going to keep him 60 years on death row. That's terrible, but it's still
something.
Yeah. So, but we had Black Bob. He killed a man, cut him open, and ate his heart while it was still beating. Put the corpse under my bed before I got there in E17 M Unit, Park Penitentiary.
He did it in prison?
Yeah.
Oh.
But he killed other people, too.
I'm sure
he is black. I mean, but he was a black Latino, and his mustache dropped down like kung fu. And he could play chess really good. And I'd play with him, and I'd say, "Wake up, Bob." He wouldn't move and beat me. These are people that are in there. And had Stickum Steve. He killed 13 people supposedly while he was in there. And went in for about 3 years, killed somebody, get somebody, go back in the back a couple of years, get out. And that man could paint all. He painted clowns behind razor wire on oil. I would have bought one, but I just didn't want to have any memory of him.
Right.
So I was having coffee one morning. Oh, no, I got up at 6 o'clock. I must wait just a minute. So you get your coffee cup and walk all the way down the little catwalk. I'm on the 3rd floor, and there's a landing up there, and it's got a red lever that you pull it out. It's almost steam water, and you put it on your instant coffee, and you go back to your cell. And there's usually 10, 15 men up there getting their cup of coffee, and you say good morning. No, men pretty quiet in the morning that time. The doors all open at one time, clump. And so I walked down there. My friend Phil was coming the other way, and he said, "You don't want to go down there, Roger." I said, "What is it?" He said, "You don't want to see." I'm bullshit. I do want to see too. So I went on down. Nobody there.
Too nosy.
Landing 20 feet. And I said, I ain't seen nothing, but something's going on because ain't nobody here. So my hot water, I really want some hot water for my coffee. So I go down and turn it, and I see Stickum Steve over in the corner. Now, he just comes in the TV room and just turns the channel. Y'all know I watch my Nouns at 3 o'clock. I wasn't scared of him. I just didn't want to kill him. It's just like if you fool him, you're going to go to...
He's a sociopath.
Leave it to Paul.
Yep.
And so he turned around and come towards me, and it looked like a car spring was through his chest and out his back. Somebody had got him on his bunk. When that door opened, they'd come through and come through his body. Wham.
Whoa.
Right to the mattress, whatever the little mattress was that thick to the bottom of it.
Yeah, nothing on it.
And he walked up to me and he said, and like a little boy said, "Can you help me?" I said, "No, Steve, buddy, I don't believe I can help you." And he turned and walked off. "Can anybody help me?" Damn, it about break your heart. And he went over there to the rail, and I kind of got back around. I know the shit's fixing to hit the fan.
Yeah.
I want to get back to my cell. So he leaned over the rail, and the blood starts coming out of his mouth, and it goes down by the guard's little shack down there and spattered on the floor, and the guard hits a panic button, and boy, they come through the door, and the fat women and the fat men and all of them, they come stomping up that trail. Some of them fat, 300 pounds of God. Husband and wives working overtime and all shit. It's just...
Oh, my gosh. That's a whole other story, but is part of the problem.
Absolutely.
Right.
And Steve's boss, he was a painting house, and that guy looked like about 35 years old. And he comes right up to Steve. He ain't seen it yet either. And he gets just as close to him as this, and he sees that piece of metal sticking through his chest. He has a heart attack and drops dead.
Oh, my.
I'm watching him crumble to the floor, and Steve falls right down on him. They said when Steve went to hell, he just reached in and grabbed that guy's soul and took it with him.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So the story goes.
We were locked down. Everything we had, from coffee to tea to sheets, was thrown over the bed. They stripped that whole place, just punishing us.
Yeah.
It was 2 weeks before. They sent a turkey sandwiches you could see through the turkey. It was so thin.
So one bit of jackassery was causing the lockdowns of the whole amount of people.
They punish everybody.
Who were then pent up and then frustrated and getting out. And then guess what? It runs into the same. I've seen this firsthand also.
Yeah.
Where I couldn't even visit some of these guys I was going to try to see and catch up with, whatever. And I would drive 6 hours and get to the prison, and they had yet another lockdown. I mean, they've been locked down. It may as well be in seg. I mean, for as long as these folks were locked down, for a couple of jackasses that just want to keep screwing it up.
Yep.
That's also...
Now, they should have a special prison for those people.
Right.
And have that in the middle of the country. Don't try to put them close to the house, nothing. You're going to be that kind of a person, we're afraid of you, and we got a place for you. We got the Supermax in Colorado for the Federals.
Right.
And they got one up here, too, and they do it. And I guess it's terrible, but and some of those people there don't deserve it. They just dangerous.
So also I wondered if you had any thoughts on that, backing up to that federal cooperation thing. I've always had thoughts about this when I understand the premise behind, hey, you're going to cooperate, but you have to cooperate with everything. If we figure out you're leaving out stuff or you lie about one or two, whatever, then it undoes everything and you go and get hammered. I've watched guys that once I lose them to the AUSA or whatever, the prosecutor's going to take the case and do whatever they're going to do, right? I kind of have no control either. So I'm like rooting for these people to cooperate and whatever. And I've seen them be literally scared into recanting things they said and call them a lie, even when they're not a lie, but their families were threatened and different things. I always found it was smarter from law enforcement perspective to just say, look, I'll take anything that I can get as long as it's true. And if you want to come in and say, I'm willing to say this, but that's all I'm willing to say, and you can get a downward departure or a break of whatever degree based on the information you give, but you can also conserve giving out things that would further damn you. Do you feel like that would have been helpful to you? Because you did this. If we ignore the snitch culture, obviously, because your entire stay is going to be a mess.
I can't even think that way.
Yeah.
If me and you go do something and I tell on you, I deserve whatever I get.
Yeah.
That's how I think about it.
Right.
It's just you are a snitch or you're not.
Right.
Now, some people I understand they got two little babies at home, and I had them to unload an airplane, and he just like, Roger, I can't do 7 years. I'm going to tell on you. I just cry on your birthday. I'm sorry. I understand that. But are they just a lot of tattle? Most of the people in the world will tell on you.
That's the case. And that's what I'm saying is I think a lot of people have stuff that wouldn't show up on paper, but they're absolutely flipping on other people.
And they will lie on the stand to make themselves sound good.
Of course. Well, that's human nature too. They want to deflect and say, well, it's not really me, which is back to your Deuteronomy, of course. Yeah, don't lie about yourself either.
Yeah,
and that's the main thing.
That was we was in my grand jury. There was a woman when we was going around the world. We give her a ride from Ibiza to somewhere, and anyhow, she got on the stand and testified that I had got my high school sweetheart pregnant with twin boys, and I never would support them, and that we had a machine gun shooting liquor bottles off of the fantail of our boat. Well, one thing, I didn't have a girlfriend. I was barefooted in high school, and we didn't have a machine gun.
Certainly not.
And my wife read that and got so upset about her. And Barry Seal said, Maury, they'll say anything when they get on that stand.
Yeah. Yeah, and you're right. Those fools need higher penance.
Yes.
Yeah. Getting out and reacclimating to life, I would love to hear your finishing story, your success story here, how you get out. I know I've heard people talk about colors and sensations and all kinds of things like when you got out. And having been separated from Maury for so long, how did you reacclimate into normal life?
Well, it was like coming up out of dark water for a breath. And it was overwhelming. For 3 days. I came in and Maury was there. I hadn't seen her in 19 years. And I'd been in isolation down in Los Angeles. Couldn't even get a parole hearing. And I believe 11 people died in there with me. There was more people in Terminal Island died from that COVID than any other federal penitentiary, maybe anywhere else. So when I got home, I got those prison clothes off after a hug and just to get them off. And I went in and she threw them down the garbage chute and got rid of that stuff. And I went in and showered and scrubbed myself raw. And she said, your clothes are in the bedroom in there. So I went in there. They were all laid out on the bed. Those clothes were 50 years old, 40 years old.
They still fit?
38, perfectly.
I love it.
And And the shirts were like, they were so nice. I thought, was I ever this rich?
Apparently so.
Must have. Put on a shirt and slacks and shoes, everything fit. And my shoes was polished, glistening. Mari polished his shoes.
Yeah.
And I took a step and the shoes came apart. I just cried. So I came back in there and I sat down at the table. She had a nice meal cooked. I don't remember what it was. And I couldn't eat. The tears just kept running down my cheek. And I said, Mari, I'm not sad. I just don't know why. I'm just overwhelmed. And there was the same placemats we'd had for 60 years. There was the dishes we bought when we first got married, the silverware that we had inherited, paintings on the wall that she had done, something that come from Holland from her parents, all just like we left it.
Wow.
From 38 years ago.
Wow.
So it was, I couldn't look at pictures of her, the children. I would just cry. And I think about 3 days finally said, man up, it's just sad. It's sad.
Yeah.
But you don't have to live it again.
Right.
So then we started walking and she walked with me and she walked fast and we get off somewhere or another and take the car and go a mile or two. And I'd sit down and say, Mari, I'm tired. Would you go get the car? And she, oh, yes. Of course, I could run backwards,
Yeah.
So we just had fun. So it was getting that way and just getting used to it to drive again. You haven't driven in nearly 40 years. You'd be surprised. I pull over in that lane, there's a car blowing at you,
And I got to drive with you for a short stint.
That's right.
It was all good, though. That's
and
great.
to fly airplanes, I hadn't flown an airplane in 40 years, and I went and had to get 5 hours training or to go to recertified. So I didn't fool with that radio. A young fellow, you play that radio, I'll see if I can fly this thing. I greased it on every time. It didn't matter. So anyhow, I could rent the plane. So I took Mari for a flight. And the transponder had one button. It was real hard to push. And I didn't get the right number in. And so we had a jackass in the tower. And he wouldn't let me turn. So I'm going out over the Pacific in this ragged old 172. So I start turning. Do not turn. And I finally said, Honolulu approach, what is your intention? That got their attention. I heard snickers all over the radio. They told me to turn around and go back to land and call the FAA. So I did. And I went home and called them. And they was giving me some lip. I said, hey, mister, I haven't flown an airplane in 40 years. But if you don't think I can fly one, Google the name Roger Reaves. So
I'm sure they did.
They did. So when I went back out there the next time and I cranked it up and called Clarence, is that you, Roger? Go out there on 17 left. We're going to take care of you today.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came back down, several of them was down there with books for me to sign.
Oh,
so
great.
We had a nice little party.
That's great.
Real talk. If you create anything, your voice is your time. 11 Labs reads your articles aloud in your voice, flawlessly, in seconds. Stop re-recording. Links below. Go give it a shot.
Yeah.
So a day in the life, you guys are just living retired. Are you finally able to look at the pictures of your kids?
Yes, I
know
do,
you
but
missed a lot.
Still, looking at Mari, particularly when she was 40 and 50 and 60 and 70, and I wasn't there.
Yeah,
it was sad. It was a tragedy.
Yeah, and you've earned the opportunity to be emotional about that.
Yeah,
but still being able to move on, and it's a fascinating thing with all of the stories. Obviously, you have tons of stories. You have tons of stuff in the past that you've built a legacy upon. And this is part of the success story now that you have children that are turning into success stories, and you and Mari have gotten back reunited and living life and enjoying yourself. What do you want people to take from all of these experiences that you talk about? What message would you like for people to come away with having listened to you?
Wow. I'll say it just a little bit different. I'm getting some offers or some nibbles to make a series of our life, Mari's and I together. And I would like for it to put something good, something. I've never told you how the experiences I've had, Christian riser with God, and the visions I've had, and the prayers answered, and what happened with all that in the spiritual realm. It's real, unbelievable, and so we are just spirits in this body, and it's wearing out right quick. We're going to go on for sure.
Well, yes, that's certain. That is one certainty. And I certainly have learned a lot from spending time with you and just trying to understand the way you think and seeing you as a human being who's learned so much and gone through so much. So I for one, really appreciate all the time that you put in, and anything I can do to support your cause, let me know. I'm out here often, so hopefully we can get back together again and bring Mari in the room too. I'd love to talk with her.
Come on up to Santa Barbara and visit. I'll make you some chain gang groceries.
There you go. That'd be easier for me to do the track too.
Since it says, what do you season this with? And I say gunpowder.
You leave stronger.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you very much, my friend.
Pleasure,
I appreciate it.
For sure.
Thank you.
God bless you in every way.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
What's it take? What you gonna do? What you gonna do? Success around the sandbox with second grade rules. A confident fake to make you do what they want when they won't pay the fool. A diplomatic face is the one to see you through. And don't let those bigots take you off your game, but just to let them loose. You sit here in the front seat, baby, ain't that sweet? Take a little honey from the money.